Extension Cropping Systems Specialist Josh Lofton is here now to talk a little bit about canola. Josh, you and the team have been out around the state on the canola tours. What did you see and what kind of questions did you get?
Well, yeah, we just wrapped up on Monday of this week. So we went from around southwest Oklahoma, Gould, all the way through Miami on Monday. So we've seen a lot of canola. The good thing is that we were talking a couple weeks about that we were at the point of no return. We were either going to make a crop or the crop was going to go backwards on us. Thankfully, over the last couple weeks, the rain has come and is still coming. And so we have a crop that has turned around almost a 180.
It's good that there's that renewed optimism and energy. Mm-hmm. There is something though called the crud. Explain what that is.
Yeah, so what we have is it's called the crud or winter decline syndrome, and essentially it's where we have the freezes in the spring, and when we get warm and we get cold again, what happens is that stem kind of starts to crack, and whenever it does crack or it splits, we can actually get some decay in the stem itself. This can happen very early in the spring, which is probably what happened this year, or it can happen a little bit later in the spring. Most growers can have this and not know any different. This year, where we've had spots of winter kill is where we're seeing them really pop up, to where we have not as high populations as we normally see out there. And if you have some with that winter decline syndrome, what we're starting to see is with these big storms that are passing through and these big fronts, we're seeing a lot of canola lodged, and that's really the concern. It's not necessarily the winter decline syndrome, it's not necessarily winter kill, it's not necessarily the storms, but when all three of them happen together, we're starting to see a lot of canola on the ground, and it's just really hard. They'll continue to try to make seed. It'll just make it very difficult at harvest to actually be able to capture that seed successfully.
As we kind of turn the corner toward harvest, any last minute sort of management advice, scouting kind of things that folks may want to do?
Yeah, and we still have some time left before we put it in the swath rows. We're still looking in between, maybe a couple of days to a couple of weeks still for some growers. So what we've seen when we've gone throughout the state is we still have a substantial amount of aphids out in the state. And some of these rains will maybe decrease some of the populations a little bit, but what you have to do is once we stop getting these rains and you can actually get boots in the field again, go out and check. Once we stop flowering, we have a lot of tools to manage those aphids. While we're still flowering, our tools are kind of limited. We're limited to a pyrethroid or carbine, but whenever we stop flowering, we can bring transform back into the mix. And so then we have three really good options for managing aphids in the field.
Switching gears just a little bit, after canola, some folks are maybe considering planting cotton who haven't ever done it before or haven't done it in many, many years. Just a little initial guidance for them as they start kicking that around.
Yeah, the biggest thing, especially when you do any sort of double crop, if you're going to go after canola or wheat and double crop it, or if you're still doing full season cotton and you're wanting to get it in maybe around the 1st of June, the biggest thing when you do any crop rotations is plant back restrictions. If you've done canola or if you've done wheat and you've planted or you've put out some of the herbicides that have some of those longer plant back restrictions, you need to make sure to check your labels, because that can do a number on that new crop, especially cotton, where a lot of folks that are growing it this year aren't familiar with some of those herbicides and how they interact with the new crop. So make sure you check your herbicides, make sure your fertility is in line. It's all the same things to get a good crop. It's just a new crop for a lot of growers.
Okay, and of course we'll talk more about it in the weeks ahead.
Of course.
Josh, thanks a lot for your time today.
Thank you.